Well, thank you, Aldrin. I'm still live here at the Magnolia Dell Park, where we have seen a few people start to trickle in for this protest over at the Ugandan High Commission. I do want to now focus on the marginalized group that are going to be making their voice heard there at the commission later today. I have with me Papa D. They is the first non-binary queer photographer from Uganda and a human rights activist to just elaborate further on this bill that has garnered widespread condemnation across the globe for its discriminatory laws against the marginalized community. Papa D, thank you so much for joining us here live on SABC News, The Agenda. I think where we can start is if you could spell out the lived experience of the queer community in Uganda and brutally tell us what it is to live in such an environment where you're not recognized, where you cannot fully be yourself.
At the moment, I think the first point to make is the fact that the bill doesn't allow for any queer survival in Uganda right now. There is no thriving, there is no living. We have been stripped of all of our rights. We do not have access to housing because landlords are criminalized when they give you housing, or even under the suspicion of you being queer. They're supposed to kick you out. We do not have rights to medication. We have never had. You know, you go to a hospital looking like me, that is already something that people are undermining you about. You know, people have been beaten who have gone to hospitals to get medication. You know, I have been denied medication just because of who I look, of how I look. You know, we have been groped. I have been groped in. I've been groped and harassed by military people for just the way I dress. You know, I have been called a pig on the streets for just having a septum. This is a broader issue that is not just a queer issue. It is a human right. You don't take away education and medication and housing from people and privacy on top of that, because your neighbor, your landlord, your relative is obligated to literally report you for being queer. We do not have any rights to the law. The moment you step, foot at the police, you're reporting a crime that has happened to you, they'll take you in the moment they find that you're queer. Who wants to live in a country like that? This has been going on for more than 10 years. It's not just happening now because of the passing of the bill. We've gone through this war, back in 2009 and then 2014. And I feel like these conversations keep coming up for the fact that to literally instill fear, in communities to turn against us. It's people's lives are being ruined. People are being killed on the ground. People are in isolation. Most of the LGBTQ plus organizations were closed down and put under investigation, and then published and outed for everyone to see. All of these people are out of work. They're now isolated in houses where they're also told that they don't want them there. Who wants to live in a country that completely oppresses you and takes away every single every single basic right that you deserve as a person? We are humans before we are queer. We don't owe anyone anything, but we deserve every right to live as authentically as we can do. I was in Uganda a few weeks ago, and I only came here to get my code of conduct letter from the police to renew my visa because I couldn't renew it here. And then on the day that I was supposed to go back, I was told that I can't go because, of the security and the work that I've been doing with my visibility, and also the work that I've been doing with the hashtag What Next organization that I created to fundraise and share resources and information in real time of what's happening on the other side. People are reaching out who are capable of doing jobs, they are qualified for these jobs, but no one is employing them. How do you live in a country like that oppresses every single right of yours, that literally kicks you to the butt, that blatantly calls genocide onto its people? We are already a marginalized group, and as a photojournalist, I literally even can't use my work that I've created for the last 7 years working with the communities, in Uganda and elsewhere. It's not okay.
Papa D, you've spoken about how these laws have existed for some time, but I think this extreme of now putting in this punishment of a death penalty, in this day and age, how do we get to such a state where lawmakers come up with such a punishment for being who you are?
There is no justification for that. Like, I can't even start fathoming how anyone would celebrate, you know, someone else coming for another's life. And the worst thing of all, it's coming from religion, you know, religions that have told us on and on that their God is loving and welcoming and non-judgmental and come as you are, you know, it's what is in the heart that matters, and all of a sudden none of that matters. Uganda itself, their anthem says, "Oh Uganda, the land of freedom." Where is the freedom? Where is the freedom when we can't even authentically show up as ourselves? How are you criminalizing someone and literally hating, just like sprouting hate messages to someone who is simply living their life, who is simply just living their life? Like, how do you, this is not a queer issue, as I said, it's a human rights issue. And no government, no world leader should be silent about this. We need to demand that Museveni doesn't sign that bill. We need to demand that the parliament literally loses this bill as they lose the taxpayers' money. We're not complaining about that, you know? Or when we complain, still they silence us. So what is that?
And lastly, just very quickly, it's not the governing party that will be marching to the High Commission today, but it is in fact the EFF, the third biggest party in the country, that is standing by in solidarity. What does that mean to you? Or rather, what does that silence maybe from the governing party mean to you?
On Friday last week, me and the civil society organizations and coalition and LGBTQ Southern African organizations, we handed in a memorandum to the UN in Pretoria and also one to the Parliament of South Africa demanding for world leaders to listen. And I feel like that is a message that we gave them 7 days. Right now, today is the 6th day, you know, and we feel like someone has responded. I'm not standing here representing EFF or in support of any political agenda. I am standing here as an individual that has been stripped of all my rights. I'm standing here as an individual and a human rights activist that cares about my people who can't be here to speak for themselves right now. I'm taking the platform because I know that this pushes the message and to put pressure on our government to lose the bill. It's barbaric, it's insane, it's inhuman. I don't know why anyone rejoiced in the name of that. You know, my family is being harassed. The visibility is not a cloud. You know, it's basically me using the voice that I have and the privilege to be here, even when I don't necessarily want to speak for us, because y'all need to hear this. Y'all need to know the reality of what's happening on the ground.
Thank you so much for your time, Papa D. That was Papa D there, just speaking on the lived experience of Ugandans and Uganda. We understand that EFF leader Julius Malema has arrived and will be heading over to that march to the High Commission shortly, where Papa D has just highlighted that it goes beyond this bill and is a human rights issue, as their lived experience tells them that they've been stripped of their right to education, health, etc., all because of who they are. Over to you in studio.